My name is Chuck Goldmark, and this is the Double J Ranch, southeast of Okanogan. We're up about 2,700 feet, and we certainly get all 4 seasons, which is nice, but it certainly presents some challenges with producing crops and raising animals. That's what we do. We are primarily a dryland cropping operation. We also have beef cattle, and we have a little bit of irrigated ground that we produce alfalfa hay primarily. We produce all of our own feed for the cows using straw and dryland grass as well as the irrigated hay. And we're introducing kind of a more complex rotation with our cropping system with canola and wheat, both fall crops and spring crops. We do pretty much any small grain as well, and we're incorporating more cover cropping and kind of grazing and cropping systems as well. Yeah, we were really excited about the cover crop project, both looking at fertility needs with producing wheat and canola, but also getting grazing value with our beef animals, and potentially being able to wean calves on the cover crop as well. Immediately we saw some pretty neat soil health responses from the biodiversity with the cover crop. And so, I mean, we basically saw just a large amount of biomass, and that was really surprising to see the performance of that. And it was a really dry year too, so we were very pleasantly surprised with that. And another thing we're hoping with cover cropping is addressing fertility needs. So whether it's putting legumes in and decreasing our fertilizer inputs, and then at the same time hoping to use cover crop for competition, so we don't have to use as much herbicide as well. And with that comes challenges with, knowing when to terminate the cover crop and kind of being able to graze it in a timely fashion as well. So, the goals certainly have some challenges to overcome, but until you try, you can't figure it out. I'd say just the challenge is just doing it. Kind of setting up the drill and then just getting it in the field. We hadn't done anything like that before, and the second challenge was we did have some pretty high nitrate levels later on with the cover crop, and so we had to wait until we had a good frost, a week of frost to bring the nitrate levels back down to safe levels for grazing. Yeah, so our cover crop had really high nitrate levels, and that was probably mostly due to it was the field that we planted the cover crop in had a lot of feed residue and manure from the cows. And so there was really high nitrogen and really elevated fertility, and so that carried through into the cover crop to pretty dangerous levels, actually, like triple and quadruple levels that we were looking for. The idea of being attentive to soil health makes a lot of sense. Minimizing inputs is definitely a big thing for us, and having a sensible cropping system that increases productivity both short term but also long term is key. So there's certainly a financial aspect to it, but soil health, the long term implications is really what we get excited about. From crop rotation to cover cropping, and then of course implementing a grazing system into that, you get a full circle. You get a very complementary system that works together. And for us, working with these natural systems is an easier way. It really makes sense long term as well. Yeah, for us, after the project, it certainly was eye-opening seeing how well the multi-species cover crop performs. So this year we're planning on doing several, probably 2 different cover crop kind of follow-ups. One in canola stubble, more for cover cropping. For moisture preservation in the canola stubble. And then also probably doing a summer planting for weaning calves on for this fall. We're trying to set up a fence line weaning project for lower stress and better weight gain, and hopefully get a good market response there too. Yeah, I think the key is to pick a piece of ground that is close, that you can kind of watch and experiment with. Not every day, but certainly once a week it's good to see the progress and see what worked well and what didn't. There's certainly a fair bit of enjoyment when it works well. For us, that was kind of the case where we picked a piece of ground that was close and it had a lot of natural fertility from cattle and manure and feed residue, and the crop really took off, and seeing the biodiversity and kind of how it complemented itself was really encouraging. And so just kind of diving in and doing it without thinking too much about it. I mean, we had a lot of hesitations with, we were a little bit late and things weren't ideal in our mind, but we just jumped in and did it, and really glad we took that step.